You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting The Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University, Wisconsin at cuw.edu.
Live Uncommon.
We continue our Conversations in the Set Apart to Serve series today. And today we get to talk with Pastor Juan Zamora. He's at Our Redeemer Lutheran Church in Irving, Texas, where he serves as assistant pastor and apostolic missionary to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's also lead mission developer for T2C2. That's Together Transforming Churches and Communities. He's also the chair for the Hispanic Missionary League. Pastor Zamora, welcome back to the Coffee Hour.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us briefly, you serve in many roles, many ways. Tell us briefly about your work in Hispanic ministry, a little bit of history that leads up to where you are today.
Yes, thank you. And again, thanks for having me. I think I'll probably share more about the Hispanic Missionary League with my role with the organization. I think that probably covers most of the work that we are doing, and pretty much will it integrates what I do in the other roles that I have. So I will share a little bit about the Hispanic Missionary League, and this is this organization that promotes and strengthen, assist, and gather the congregations and ministries of the Lutheran Church, LCMS specifically, and working on the leadership that is working in the proclamation of the gospel of Jesus and teachings of the Christian faith among the Latino communities. So that's probably the role that I had been responsible for right now. And it's a great joy to see how people responded to these important principles that we are promoting among the Hispanic community.
Where is there a need for Hispanic ministries, Hispanic and Spanish-speaking ministries today?
Yes, that's a great question. I will say we have been visited different areas in the States, just making sure that the people that we are working with, especially for those who are already working with the Hispanic community, have the support and the resources that are needed, but also with other districts in the States that are willing and wanted to have and doing outreach to the Hispanic community. So I will say the greatest need is in the whole country, because without getting into the political atmosphere, I will say that there is a great need, because a lot of people is moving into the States, and as we visited different areas, we have seen that it is becoming greater and greater, because the people that have been here in the States for many years, some are moving to another areas where they find more job opportunities. There is people moving from outside the States into the States, and they're also looking for opportunities. So even in areas that probably we don't even imagine, you can see the great need. I was spending time with family this weekend. It's a vacation, and I went to Wyoming, and I thought maybe we're not going to find Hispanic people here. Well, guess what? There was a taqueria, a taco shop that we visited, and seeing many people in the area. And I was looking into where's the Lutheran Church available in that area. Well, there was none. So it was reaffirming to me that the need, it's pretty much everywhere right now in the States. So probably doesn't help to be very specific on the answer, but my point is we are everywhere, the Hispanic community. So we need to be more intentional on that.
Yeah, you said you were in Wyoming, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could be anywhere in the United States where there is a Hispanic community, a Spanish-speaking community that needs to hear God's word. Where are the communities where you see Hispanic ministry thriving already?
Yes. Well, I think because of the population and even the work that has been done for many years, I would say Texas can be the one, California, Florida. I mean, just to name a few, even Chicago, Illinois. I think that's where we see the great success on reaching out the Hispanic population. Although there's other areas that also are doing a great job. I wanted to recognize that as well, but it's great to see. But at the same time, and I don't want to think this is a negative thing, but we are not growing as we need it. I mean, we need to invest more, I will say, on the Hispanic community. But yeah, the thriving places, I will say Texas, California, Florida, Chicago, Illinois, probably the best places that I will say right now.
What do some of those ministries look like? How are they serving the people that are there? And I know that's going to look different in different contexts and different states and all of that, but do you have some examples of what those communities are able to do to serve the people there?
Yes. Well, let's keep in mind that many of our ministries are raised out of an existing ministry, an existing church. So for that reason, the churches or the Hispanic ministries are able to assist and to provide some resources to the community that to start a relationship with. For example, we have, I will share an example here in the Arlington area here in Texas. Because of the ministry that we are developing there, we were able to serve 200 kids plus their families as they come to pick up school supplies as the new school year starts. But this is not just school supplies. This is so the families gather. We have a devotional thought. We have a prayer. We have a time together as we worship our triune God. And then we hand them out the supplies. And one of the neat things that happen here is that, and the families also appreciate, especially as we're reaching out into the Hispanic community, is that we pray with each of the kids. You might say, well, there's 100 kids, so it takes that long. So we have a few pastors that were helping there. And the neat thing is that some of these people actually come back because they see that this is not just a hand them out something. It's more like, yeah, we care for you and we care for your spiritual life. So in fact, I was mentioning one of the examples here in the Texas area, which is the Arlington Grace. They served around 200 kids plus their families on that, I believe was 2 weeks ago. Well, at the same time, we have another congregation in the Kansas City area, Jesus el Buen Pastor, doing pretty much the same thing. And a week later, we received a few calls, families that wanted to baptize their children, say, what are the requirements? We just attended this service and we love the way that you worship and we like to find out more. We like to learn more from your church. So great things are happening there.
Wow. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
For the person who might know of a community, a Spanish-speaking community near them, what would be the first steps you would recommend to them to consider how they might be able to reach them with mercy work and ministry of the word?
Yeah, my suggestion would be relationship. It's key, and relationship will open the doors to people. Especially in the Hispanic community, we enjoy the relationship. We enjoy the fellowship, the conversations. I think for a person who knows a Hispanic or even an ethnic person in the area or even a community, I think being a part of that, showing that you care, that you are there for them. A lot of times, just by greeting people, by get to know them, it's a very, very basic principle, I would say, as a human being, right? And I think that will start the relationship, and that will help to gain the trust. I think the trust is key, but that will not come if there is no relationship. So sometimes as you get to know people, you are able to share, oh, my church offers this ministry or this opportunity. And sometimes that's the way that the people are connected to a church and even to our church. So, and that will come over time. I think that people sometimes doesn't know what are the ministries that the church offers or the opportunities to serve or to be a part of. And we know that this is not just a service. This is more than that. And I think that relationship opened the doors to share what you know about your faith and also about your church and the ways that the people can be connected to.
I want to learn more about the ministry, that the way that the Lord worked in your life to bring you into the ministry. I want to learn more about your story when we come back in just a moment. You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
At Concordia University, Wisconsin, we believe you were created for a reason, to use your God-given gifts to help others, to live a life of self-sacrifice in a me-first world, to live a life that's uncommon. Whether you're taking one of 50-plus online programs or learning with us in person on the shores of Lake Michigan, you'll be equipped to make an uncommon impact. Learn more at cuw.edu. Concordia University, Wisconsin. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
We are continuing our conversation in the Set Apart to Serve series. Our guest today, the Reverend Juan Zamora at Our Redeemer Lutheran Church in Irving, Texas, where he serves as assistant pastor and apostolic missionary to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's also lead mission developer for T2C2 and chair for the Hispanic Missionary League. Pastor, before we took a short break, you had shared about the Lord's work in Hispanic ministry, particularly here in North America, in so many communities across North America. Looking back in history, when did you first start thinking about serving in the ministry? When did you first start thinking about becoming a pastor?
Yes, that's a great question. And I think I mentioned in our previous conversation, I mean, one of the things that actually got me connected to the Lutheran Church, because I was born in a different tradition, I was looking into the opportunity to serve the church. So, and that's when the Lutheran Church, my wife back then was my fiance, invited me to a Lutheran mission that she was part of. And she introduced me to the Lutheran Church. I was really not thinking even to become Lutheran, to be honest. And then I got connected, serving in that church, mowing the grass, helping moving chairs, tables, wherever they needed at some point. Or for different reasons for ministry. And then I started attending the church. I started feeling at home in the Lutheran Church. And then I learned more about the Lutheran Church. Then I was not even thinking about becoming a pastor, to be honest. The Lord has a different plan back then. So that's where I started learning and knowing. And I was feeling this fire of sharing what I knew back then, because I felt, well, these are great news. I mean, we are being more intentional on sharing this great news with other people. And yeah, I mean, that's a few things that happened that actually pushing me in the direction of considering to become a pastor. And I thought, well, if that's the Lord's desire, I mean, who am I to say no?
Yeah, you were just talking before about the value of building relationships in establishing these Hispanic and Spanish-speaking ministries. And I mean, your story is an example of that, of building ministries and making people feel welcome and at home. And that's kind of how it all started. Who are some of the people that encouraged you along the way as you were discerning this pastoral vocation?
Yes, several people, I will say, from pastor to members to family. My wife, several people actually encouraged me on learning more. I mean, I think everybody was very graciously sharing, hey, why don't you consider this? Not pushing, it was more like, yeah, why don't you explore? I mean, maybe the Lord had something else here. So it was very neat to hear the encouragement from people around me, and even some people I didn't even know them, to be honest, in the congregation. But just by being there, by being a part of that, they were very gracious to me.
Tell us more about how the Hispanic Missionary League is encouraging and raising up future church workers like you. How are you building relationships to raise up future church workers in the? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we carry out our mission through three principles: gather, equip, and celebrate. We try to share as much as we could from the lenses of what the Lutheran Church actually is about and promoting. Like, for example, I know in a moment we're going to talk more about set apart to serve. But one of the great things that we're trying to do is align our principles to what the vision of the synod is, of the Lutheran churches, and I believe that equipping and raising a new generation of leaders, it's important not only for the Hispanic community but for the church overall. So these principles, gather, equip, and celebrate, are pretty much in line with that in the way that we see things in the Hispanic community. Gather is important because for us that many of our pastors are encouraged by just being a part of be reminded that they are part of something greater than just the local church. And that's one of the things that we try to do as much as we could. Hey, we are the body of Christ, and this is not just a local congregation. This is not just you doing work in this area. Sometimes we have Hispanic ministries happening in areas that are just pretty much by themselves. Don't get me wrong. They have the support from the districts, from the circuits, but what I meant is that they probably the only Hispanic ministry happening in that specific area. So sometimes it's like overwhelming for some people, and we try, when we gather people, we call people and to different areas and say, hey, let's gather all the Hispanic pastors, leadership, and let's get some time together. Let's be encouraged to each other. Let's pray for each other. So it's very unique, but very important to provide that support for the local pastor. Equip, we'll provide as much as we can on materials, resources, everything that is needed, not only for the pastor that has the need, but also for his congregation, for his group, and at the same time, we always trying to remind our pastor, deaconesses, and leaders, hey, we need to be more intentional on raising the new generation of leadership, because this is one of the things that we are pushing very hard, and because our second generation Hispanic are probably more equipped than first generation, because they know both languages, because they know cultures. They are very natural on the way that they do things. I'm struggle to speak in English, but this is not a problem for a second generation, right? So that's unique. That's part of it. They are built in. So raising that new generation will help us and help the church as a whole, the way that we see it. And celebrating, it's another principle that, although we still have a lot of work ahead of us, let's celebrate. We have around 150 pastors and probably like 25 deaconesses in the whole nation. Maybe that doesn't seem a whole lot, but hey, for us, it was like, yeah, this is awesome. Let's continue the work. Let's do it. Celebrating what the Lord has done and doing within the Hispanic community and ministries.
What are some of the roadblocks, some of the challenges, some of the successes that you've had with church work recruitment and all of the things that you were just mentioning with the Hispanic Missionary League?
Yes, I think the roadblocks there, it's in a general way, I will say, because there are some different struggles sometimes that we face in the Hispanic community, but I'll probably say in general, it's the how do I state it? I think the intentionality, the information, the resources available for the local pastor and group and congregation. So, for example, I will say one of the blessings that we have is that many of our ministries are raised out of an existing ministry, right? So for that reason, there is already a structure. There is already a church that actually holds the Hispanic or sponsors the Hispanic ministry. But a lot of times we haven't done much. And this is one of the efforts that the Senate and the missions offices and us are working with, is providing that information, providing those resources to help people to see and understand that it seems like sometimes the local congregation, even the local pastor, see this, this can be a huge thing to do. And sometimes the struggle is, how do we make it happen? The seminary, especially if we are sending a seminary candidate, how much is that going to cost us? or the time or family. A lot of this can become a burden for many people, and it's a discouragement. But having that information available, having someone that actually works with people and say, hey, this can be the steps that we are moving towards, and this can be the support that we can provide. This can be, that help along the way, that encouragement, that guidance along the way. I think that will be very helpful. And so one of the roadblocks in general, I would say, it's probably the need of information about the opportunities that we have as a church for future new work.
What does formation look like for church workers, especially who would be serving in a Hispanic ministry, maybe a Spanish-speaking ministry? What would formation look like for a pastor or a deaconess that wants to serve specifically in a Hispanic ministry?
Yes, right now it's because of many of our people that wanted to serve in the Hispanic community. Many of them have full-time jobs, right? So many have families, so they need to stay in their areas. They need to continue to do life, provide for their families while they are actually studying to become a pastor or deaconess. So many of the classes or courses are offered through the Center for Hispanic Studies, are provided online. So that actually helps people to stay and continue to do life where they at while they actually learn and become, and study to become a pastor or deaconess. So that's something that the seminary actually and Center for Hispanic Studies have worked a lot and invest a lot of time on how to help, especially for the Hispanic community in the process to become a pastor and deaconess, because it's not easy. And they have made a lot of progress on those areas, because in the past there was some time that actually you need to go to the seminary for 4 times a year for a week. Spend a week there, study the whole week, come back home and continue the work and do a lot of work and then come back to the seminary. So it was not easy for a person that has a full-time job and family to actually spend a few weeks over the year just for the seminary. So right now, I think that the effort of offering online studies for people that wanted to become a pastor, I think that's very helpful and unique for that person that have those specific desires not just the desire, but the ones that actually feel that they called from the Lord to be a part of ministry.
Thanks be to God that you answered that call and are serving in that capacity. Our guest today, the Reverend Juan Zamora, Our Redeemer Lutheran Church in Irving, Texas. He serves as assistant pastor and apostolic missionary to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He's also lead mission developer with T2C2 and chair for the Hispanic Missionary League. Pastor Zamora, thanks for being our guest on the Coffee Hour.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You can learn more about Set Apart to Serve by visiting lcms.org/SAS. You've been listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support The Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.